Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Hey, what's up, Josh?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Well, again, it's great to be able to talk to you again, talking about this brand new album from Revocation, The Outer Ones, which is coming out September 28th through Metal Blade. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this album out this week, and I really don't know how you do it. I mean, you constantly get better with every single album, and this is slowly becoming my favorite Revocation album to date. I love the dark tone overall. I love the musicianship and songwriting that's going on there. It just captures everything I love about Revocation and moments I didn't know I needed in the band.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate that high praise.
Oh, not a problem. So, with that said, how did the songwriting process begin for this new album?
It always starts with the riff, like I'll have sort of a collection of riffs that I'm working on, and whenever I kind of get that feeling that like, okay, I need to start putting these together, they just start to coagulate, right? So like, for me, like, if the very next day after I walk out of the studio recording a previous record, if I write a riff that I really like, I'll record it and like save it for later, right? It's not until I guess I feel that internal, like, okay, now it's time to start writing, putting these ideas together, and then the floodgates just kind of open, and it's like sometimes it just kind of consumes my every thought, like it's like a puzzle that like I need to solve once I'm really underway in that process, and in that regard, I think that's maybe why we had so many revisions, because we kind of started the songwriting process pretty early. I think maybe it was like, I don't know, I forget like when it was exactly, but I don't even think it was like a year into Great Is Our Sin coming out that I started really kind of focusing on writing for this next one.
So, with that said, I mean, with there being so many revisions, was there any particular songs that were like a real struggle to decide the direction that you wanted to go in, or was it all kind of like even keeled deciding where you wanted to go with it?
I think maybe some songs came together a little bit quicker than others, but yeah, I think on every song that there was, right up until, maybe like a month before we went to the studio, I was still changing stuff around, whether it was the instrumental track, we were like scrapping riffs, or if it was the first single that we put out, like that had like a totally different bridge section initially that I ended up scrapping in favor of that sort of heavier, more anthemic part. I don't know. I think, this is our 7th record, so I mean, you don't want to repeat yourself, and you want to constantly bring new ideas to the table. And as a musician, you have to be kind of like self-critical of what it is that you're doing, so that you can grow, right? You don't want to just ever be satisfied and be like, oh, well, this is good enough, right? You want to be like, no, how can I make this great? How can I make this as best as it possibly can be, so that it's an accurate representation of my artistic output of where I'm at now as a musician.
Yeah, and that's just so great to hear that too, just that inspiration and creativity and that strive to continuously improve yourself and your songwriting and the overall band, and making sure that you're going to be happy with what you're playing, making sure that the fan base is still going to be able to appreciate what you're doing, and just constantly evolving and growing. It's great to see that that's still going on 7 albums into the band.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we don't want to rest in our laurels, that's for sure.
So with that said, I mean, obviously you guys picked an amazing track to be able to show off this album with of Unworldly Origin, which is just a killer song that starts off the album and a great first single. Was that the original intention to release that song first?
I think when you're first getting into the recording process, it's kind of up in the air, right? I mean, I think we felt like early on like that could be a contender, but you're never really going to know for sure until all the songs are done and you can listen to them back to back. I will say I did know that I wanted it to be track 1 kind of early on, as far as like the opener of the record, but it's hard to decide, like, because first impressions are everything, right? I mean, even if people are familiar with the band, it's a new record, it's a new sort of vibe. So like, what song do you put out that's going to maybe best encapsulate the record? And yeah, of Unworldly Origin just seemed to be a good choice after we had time time to listen to everything.
Yeah, and from the drumming aspect, I really appreciate that not only the song, but the entire album starts off with a really cool drum fill, just like showing off what Ash is capable of, and then just like all you guys kicking in and just showing the intensity and the darkness and the power that's going on with Revocation throughout this entire album.
Thanks. Yeah, it's always a challenge sometimes. I think, like, okay, how are we going to start the record? Is it going to be an intro? Is it going to be some kind of like creepy ambient noise that swells in? Yeah, for this one, we're like, you know what? Let's just fucking come out guns blazing and just have Ash like rip into like this nasty fill, and then the whole band kicks in. So it felt like just a definitive statement. Like, okay, Revocation's back, and you're going to be in for a death metal ride on this one.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it continues throughout the entire album. I mean, there's so many amazing tracks from start to finish. My personal favorite is Luciferus. I really love the entire song. I love the structures and the melodies and the harmonies going over the brutality in that one as well. I think that might be my favorite Revocation song to date, actually.
Oh, well, that's great. Dan wrote that one. That's awesome to hear.
Oh, awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's just, just like from start to finish, it's just like constantly hearing that evolution of the band and everything. And, it was awesome to see that you guys did take more of a darker approach, and, not just musically, but also lyrically as well, like getting into the horror aspects, and great nods to H.P. Lovecraft as well. I mean, from the title alone throughout the entire album. I mean, it's great to see those kind of tones showing up in Revocation.
Thank you. Yeah, we've dabbled with some Lovecraftian influences in the past for sure, right? Like if you go back to Existence is Futile or Deathless album, like there's definitely been some Lovecraft inspired songs. But yeah, this one with Tom, I think we kind of made it a point to try to take the overall aesthetic of that and put it into the record.
And is that where the idea came from to call it The Outer Ones?
Yes. Yeah, Lovecraft, that's not it's not a title of a story of his, but it's a phrase that comes up throughout several of his stories, right? Like the universe of horror that he created, is present in all of his work. So, each story is its own thing in of itself, with its own set of characters that, they don't come back or whatever across other stories. But the thing that is the thread is the Lovecraftian mythos. So these entities. Sometimes he refers to them in certain stories as the Outer Ones. Sometimes he refers to them as the Outer Gods. Sometimes it's the Other Gods, right? He has different ways of describing these things, as any good writer should, right? When you're talking about something, you don't want to just always repeat yourself. But it just seemed to be the perfect title.
Oh, I absolutely agree, and it does give like an overall great feel and theme throughout the entire album, rather than feeling like you needed to call it Cthulhu or something like that. Just like where it's like focusing on one style or one story that he was able to write, but instead having that overall characters that show up throughout so much of his work, and just like being able to build off that theme and go in so many different directions with it. Right.
And plus, like Cthulhu, like we've got it on like T-shirts and stuff like that. And it's it's such a great character, but at the same time, it's maybe like a little bit overused, right? Like thematically. So I actually stayed away from writing. I don't think I've ever written anything about Cthulhu ever in our whole career, because you want to he had so many great stories. So why just pick the one? There's all these other lesser known deities in that realm. And actually, it's funny because I think Cthulhu he's kind of like a lesser god, if I'm not mistaken. He's just he's an interesting creature, the description of it, but he's not on the same level as like a Yog-Sothoth or like a Azathoth or whatever. So.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, it's a great character, but it's just like it's so great to that you guys were able to show off so much more of what H.P. Lovecraft has done, and again just bringing that central theme of the overseers kind of the universe that in the H.P. Lovecraft universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It was great material to work with, for sure.
And with that, I mean, with the overall aesthetic and the themes that are going on with this album, the artwork is absolutely amazing this time around. I love how detailed and vivid the colors are. Despite it being a dark cover, it just looks so aesthetically appealing, despite the grotesque moments that are also going on there. But how did that artwork come together?
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, for me, it's my favorite album cover we've ever had. I mean, I'll put that up, against any death metal record that comes out this year. I mean, Tom just did such an amazing job. He's really a genius. So a little background about Tom. Tom Strum is the artist who was responsible for that album cover. He also did Great As Our Sin, and he also did the Deathless album cover, as well as a couple other T-shirt designs for us. I met Tom years ago at this point when I was on tour, and I was get tattooed. I saw some of his work randomly online or whatever. I'm like, oh wow, this guy's got like a really cool style. It's like right up my alley. Reached out to him, and with artists and tattoo artists, you never know if someone's going to be like cool, or like they're kind of vibing you out, or if like they're going to be like overbooked and just can't do it. But like he had time for me, and it turns out he was already a fan of Revocation, so it was kind of cool because we had like maybe a mutual respect for each other sort of right off the bat. And come to find out, like Cannibal Corpse is his favorite band, and this and that, and I just developed a really great relationship with Tom, and then I really consider him a great friend that I've known over the years. And I'd go out and I would stay with his family while he was tattooing me, and like, we'd go out and get lunch together, and it just really became, it wasn't like this like I'm getting tattooed and like giving him money and like that's where the transaction ends. It was like this really great friendship that we've developed over the years. So anyway, I feel very comfortable with Tom because I've known him for so long. So, and I knew he would be a great, he would be the guy to do this album cover. So, I essentially kind of gave him the pitch, like, okay, it's it's the outer ones, like, it's these Lovecraftian entities. They're sort of, vast in their horror. Like with Lovecraft, like, and the outer ones, like Azathoth, like specifically, like he never really gives a description of it, which is kind of cool. Sometimes Lovecraft's works are very descriptive down to like the smell of the room, right? Other times he's intentionally vague and he kind of like lets the reader maybe fill in the blanks in their own mind. And with Azathoth and these outer ones, like his description is like they're too horrible to describe. Like human comprehension, we can't even fathom, the vastness of the scope of the chaos that they reside in. So that's probably a really cool material to work with if you're an artist with a great imagination like Thomas. So he ended up kind of coming up with a couple different sketches that he sent over, and they were all amazing. But it was like, no, this is great, but like it needs to be more horrifying, or like this is really cool, but it needs to be the scope of it needs to be bigger, right? Like you need to kind of add something in there that makes the scope seem like on a universal scale almost. So when he sent me back this sort of three-headed creature eating planets out of a black hole, I was like, okay, this is the way to go here. And he would send me updates when he really got down to putting the oil paint on the canvas. That's the other thing too that I'm very proud of. It's not digital at all, right? I mean, it's him and oil paint and brushes and a canvas, which I think sometimes in the modern metal genre doesn't happen as much. Things are created more digitally. No offense to digital art, there's a lot of great digital artists out there that do amazing stuff. But for me, what I find to be the most aesthetically pleasing is that style of like whether it's like oil paint or watercolor, like someone that was like putting ink on a canvas. So yeah, he did an incredible job, and I remember when he sent over like the final draft, because like I said, he had sent over different sort of progress shots, and I was just blown away. Like, wow, this is fucking insane.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of amazing work that can be done digitally, and there's a lot of great artwork for great albums that have that digital aesthetic to it. But I love the fact that this album cover in particular was done with the great oil and canvas, and just like really getting those vivid moments to look so vivid, and the realistic moments looking so realistic. And I just keep looking at it now as we're doing this, and it's just like my jaw just keeps dropping the more that I see like the detail behind it and everything, and just seeing his interpretation of the outer ones, and just like this whole idea of this universe getting eaten. It's so cool to look at.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because it's one of those paintings that you can find new things depending on what section you're looking at. Like I like in the right section, like part of the creature is like it's almost like in the fabric of outer space itself. Like its eye is this like weird kind of swirling cosmos. So it's like are they separate from the universe? Like, do they make up the very fabric of the universe? Like it's who knows, right? And I think Lovecraft kind of alluded to those types of things like in his stories, right? They're sort of like these multi-dimensional beings, right? They don't like they don't really even exist in our plane. They're from this outside, yet they kind of rule over everything. So I think he captured that in really brilliantly.
Oh, absolutely. And that gets me so excited to actually pick up the physical release too, so I can like check it out in my hands and just see how detailed it is, rather than just looking at a computer computer screen like I am right now. And of course, all the merch that can potentially be on as well. And hopefully with that being available coming up now on your upcoming headlining tour coming up to be able to promote this album. I mean, it's great to be able to see that you guys are going to be out doing another headlining run specifically for this album.
Thank you. Yeah, we can't wait. I mean, we're bringing out full production. We just signed off on like a giant banner with the artwork on it. That's, we're going to hang on stage every night. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned the physical copies. I can't wait myself to get my hands on this. I mean, I don't even have a record player, but I can't wait to have a vinyl copy of this album just so I can, look at it, right? I mean, it's going to be so cool. And we're doing a lot of cool different vinyl bundles and stuff like that with like limited edition stuff. It's funny, like the vinyl is seemingly like making a comeback right now because you can do all these, extra special sort of collector's edition in different colors and whatnot. So it'll be cool to see, how it looks in its physical form.
Oh, absolutely. So going back into the headlining tour, I mean, you guys picked an amazing lineup to be able to go out on tour with you guys. I mean, that's just going to make for an amazing night. I mean, being able to promote this new album, all the aesthetics of the new album from you guys, and then getting some of the most perfect bands to be able to open for you guys. It's just going to be an incredible tour.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very proud of both lineups that we've got. The North American tour with Exhumed and Rivers of Nile and Yautja. It's a very diverse bill, right? Obviously, Exhumed are legends in the death and gore grind scene. Rivers have been just putting out great material, and it seems like they really popped on this latest record with Where Owls Know My Name. And Yautja are kind of a hidden gem that I'm not sure if most people are, if Yautja's on most people's radars, but they're awesome. Make sure you come out and get there early because they really deliver the goods, and the drummer is absolutely phenomenal. The riffs are super cool. They'll be a great band to open up the tour package. And then in Europe, I mean, we've got the technical death metal wet dream of Archfire and Surreption, and then Rivers will be on that tour as well. So we spent a lot of time crafting both of these lineups. So it's great to see all the hard work coming to fruition kind of all at once.
Oh, very much so. So also with all of that in mind, I mean, of course, being able to promote this amazing new album, how much of the new album is going to be represented in the live setting for these upcoming tours?
A lot of it, yeah. We plan on doing a bunch of new songs on the headline tour. I mean, of course, we're going to be playing some classics and maybe some deep cuts here and there. But yeah, we look forward to playing. I think we're going to do at least four new songs. I think maybe even 5.
Oh wow! I mean, yeah, that's great representation. That's nearly half the album right there. That's getting represented.
Yeah.
And I gotta imagine how hard it's gotta be getting now at this point, like deciding what songs you're gonna be playing from the back catalog now. I mean, especially with 7 albums now to be able to choose from.
Yeah, it's hard. You can't play everything. That's for sure. No one wants this to be up there for 7 hours, myself included. But yeah, it's tricky. But at the same time, the new record's coming out, so we want to try to showcase that.
Yeah, and again, it's just like even though I've only had the album for a few days now, it's like I constantly keep going back to it, and I'm discovering new things about it, be it the artwork, be it the lyrical content, be it musical cues that are going on there. It's just, like I said in the beginning, it's just I absolutely love where you guys are at right now with the band, and it's just like the more I listen to it, the more it is becoming my favorite Revocation album to date, and it's just I really love seeing the progression of where you guys have come from all this time, and now being able to go out there and be able to do these great headlining runs that you guys have deserved to be able to do for this tour, and then all the amazing stuff that I'm sure is going to be coming up in 2019 as well. It's so cool to see where you guys are at right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to hit the road in support of this album. We're all very proud of it.
Oh, very much so. And I think with that, that's actually a great note to end on. Thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything going on with the Outer Ones right now, coming out at the end of September through Metal Blade. Easily going to be one of my favorite albums of the year, if not my favorite album of the year so far. Again, it was awesome to be able to talk to you, get your insight into everything from the music to the content to upcoming touring and everything else that's going to be going on, and it was great to be able to talk to you again.
Likewise, Josh, really appreciate the great interview. Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
No, I think we covered the bases there. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.